Hi, good people. Well, we have a full moon in tropical Leo, and I've got my little Leo representation here for you. This beautiful card. And a cloud agate with him right here. And in Sidereal Cancer. And the nakshatra in Sidereal Cancer that we're working with is Aslesha. And Aslesha is the clinging star. It is represented by the Nagas. And this relationship of duality between a solar sign and a lunar sign just before we head into eclipse season, which the solar eclipse is on the 17th. It's in Aquarius, but this energy literally starts after this full moon. And let's talk about the sidereal here for a second, because it's really interesting to move in this Gandanta point. This is the karmic knot, right? This is a little reading I did for myself. This is the Gordian knot, past, present, and future reading I did for myself today. And this Gordian knot is reflective of the three Gandanta points from fire to water in the chart. Elementally, we go from fire to water. And it's a cosmic purging as we move through this element of dense emotion into a space of transmutation, right? And it's spiritual transmutation that happens 3 times in a lifetime. It's this consistent cycle that we're always talking about of unity, disunity, and repair. And we have to try and remember as we move through these very difficult points in our development as humans that really all we're doing is elaborating on our relationship with ourselves. So unity, disunity, and repair are perfect metaphors for what we have to do right now. The problem is we don't have any education in repair yet. Never fear. That is what we are getting. That is what we are actually doing. Have hope for the process. And one of the things that I'm actually keeping in my mind right now is that we have people standing in harm's way for each other and dying for each other in the streets as we stand against global fascism, which is something we've never faced before. Let's remind ourselves that this is a spiritual process, and especially at this full moon and through this beautiful eclipse season. An eclipse is occultation of the light, right? Something is being obscured. Patterns that need to be released are being released. And there's a cord cutting going on here, especially at this moon. And I've been resisting this horribly myself, but there is a cord that needs to be cut. And as keepers of our own kingdom, of our own Leonine kingdom, bringing myself back into my own energy at the end of every day, like we talked about the last time at the new moon, being self-referenced is the close of that cycle. It is the period of repair. To bring myself back into alignment with myself, I go out there, I go in the world, I stand in front of someone, I defend them, or I am defended myself, or I am in conflict in some other way, but I come back into my own alignment. I bring myself back to myself. I face myself is the repair element. And so it's difficult to do that, especially when you give yourself away to people who want to damage you, whether intentionally or unintentionally, or you give your power to governments and luminaries. But we're pulling ourselves back from that, and we are more responding emotionally to each other than speaking to what's directly connecting to our higher power yet. But we will be. We don't have cultures built on love. We don't have cultures built on repair. We don't have cultures of sharing yet. But the only way to get them is to go through it. I mean, Captain, we cannot sail around the storm, is what I'm getting at this point. We have to go through it. So compassion becomes clinging here in Auslasia in this Cancer sign, and we have to love fully what we do love and let love bloom independently. So it's a tricky thing. It's this tantra of holding close enough to be able to detach. I don't think anybody gets it when I say that, but it's an authenticity that heals the trauma. You have to love fully what you love in order to let it go. And that is the lesson of Auslasia, right? In the tropical, all of these planets are in Aquarius. And, you know, I know everybody wants to say Age of Aquarius and all this beautiful stuff about it. But Aquarius is, in the tropical chart, it's Uranus and Saturn. And in the sidereal chart, Aquarius is Saturn and Rahu. The North Node, the headless desire. So essentially, and I don't want to sum it up too much because obviously everything holds its own polarity in it, but Aquarius holds a grudge, right? It is not emotional releasing or loving through to completion or letting the object of your love be free. It is intellectual awareness of the experience of wanting someone to be in a relationship to you that you need, or that your habit drives, because Saturn in both cases, in both tropical and sidereal, right? We just don't have a whole lot of latitude right now to express unconditional love in the face of such violence, but our real power lies in how honest we can be with ourselves. Captain, there's no sailing around it, right? You have to face the part of yourself that wants what it wants it from other people, isn't able to get it in quite that way, and still is able to be loving to yourself. If you can't be loving to others at this stage of the game, love yourself as best you can. Treat yourself well. It is a reckoning full moon. And, you know, I could show you, there's so many pain points in this chart. I don't want to linger on those. And many of them are striking directly in my chart. I have planets in Leo. I have planets in tropical Aquarius. I have this Saturn-Neptune conjunction that is bringing the cosmic fog machine up against the habitual limitations and breaks. It's a painful, there's a lot of pain points in this chart. I just don't see a whole lot of easy full moon aspects. We're still getting a hangover from Capricorn energy, and we have a Cancerian Jupiter. So we're feeling it. We're feeling all the feels, and sitting with how you feel to the best of your ability is probably the best medicine that there is. Om Doom Durgaye Namaha. Om Shrim Mahalakshmiye Namaha. Om Aim Saraswataye Namaha. Om, 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 Om. Let's go this one first, this one second, and bring Mahasaraswatiye to the top. We begin, we're represented by, in this reading, the Three of Cups. This is an innocent in her partying, a collaboration of, the most positive expression of unity, disunity, and repair is in this card, but it's an emotional card. And that's what has to be faced at this full moon, is we're not in the kind of harmony that we may feel. We're not aligned, attuned yet. But, maybe if we can just sit with the parts of ourselves that we're trying to get together, or God knows. I mean, I know there's not a lot of people who are going to say this to you in the world, but have a glass of wine. I don't know. This is tough stuff. And there is a celebration of the goodness we do have in our lives and we do have within us here. If we can just realize, that captain, we can't sail around it. Get every part rowing in the same direction. It sounds like this is the orientation to have. Get your emotions going together. And, I'm getting row, row, row your boat right now. Life is but a dream. And watch the movie to a certain degree with equanimity and detachment as best you can, and stand up for each other. Be there for each other. Care for each other emotionally. So that's how we begin the reading. And then we're crossed by the Emperor. This is a pretty good leonine card, but it's also the part of ourselves that unifies all four kings, right? Earth, air, fire, and water. To be a human being on planet Earth is to be made up of multiple parts and be a synthesis of senses, be a synthesis of all sorts of elemental qualities. And when they're bollocksed, when they're out of alignment, when they are, I'm not really sure we have a way of understanding what being crossed by our own sovereignty means, but I think it means that it's not very accessible right now. We're kind of like liver cells trying to understand the whole body, and we have to move through and then understand in hindsight. A crossed emperor, an emperor that crosses an emotional Three of Cups, seems to me like you're going to have to wait till you read the whole chapter to understand what it means. It's like trying to read Kant, the Critique of Pure Reason or something, that you're just not going to be able to assimilate everything until you go back through and read the highlighting and understand what's going on elementally and with each force. So we're kind of crossed by the regent. There's also a very literal reading of this that, power globally is crossing the unity of humanity. So I don't need to elaborate on that. I think you are very well aware of what's happening there. This is founded in, the reason it's happening is death. Okay. So the Capricorn cycle is, which is where the stellium of planets is in the sidereal, is knowing when enough is enough. And we don't know when enough is enough. We have a real tendency right now to go beyond what we should go beyond. This is a great lesson for me personally. There's a couple places in my life right now where I've just kind of come up against the wall of like, this is all I can take. I can't do more than this. And I've done my best and am doing my best, and it's just not good enough. So I need to decide for myself how to express the fact that enough is enough, that I don't have the understanding to bring certain things into harmony right now, and certain cycles need to end. Now, that said, tons of astrological cycles are ending, and again, we're just about to come to two eclipses that are occultations. So this could be a very literal planetary card as well. If you want a deep reading, enough is enough. But if you want the planetary reading, cycles are coming to an end to instigate new beginnings. Culmination card, right? Death is very seldom literal death, but it could be, and we need to keep that in mind. We are crowned by, beautiful, the King of Coins. So this is a very abundant card. And I think in the last reading I did, the short reading I did, I said that coins were fire. They're not. Coins are earth. So this is, Capricorn's element. And in the real sky, if you look on your Star Walk 2 app on your phone, highly recommend that you get that one. All of the planets right now, especially the sun, are in the heart of Capricorn. So this is all facing the moon. I mean, we've got Mercury, Venus, the sun, Mars, and Pluto standing across from this full moon with, I was almost like with bloody Chiron, but it's not. Chiron's not there. Chiron's in a square relationship to it. We are feeling the earth and her conflict. Look, she wants the project of intelligence and harmony to go forward, but things have to be eliminated, right? Things have to be pulled away. In order to grow roots, you have to move soil. And we literally are the earth. The word humus and human come from the same Latin root. We have to remember why we're doing any of this, why we have to say enough is enough sometimes, why our sovereignty and our harmony gets squashed. It's because we're moving through dimensions, and we're doing it on a planet, and we're moving in a solar system. God only knows where we're going, and different radiations and different things are acting on us at all times. We have to be reminded of the context of the earth at this moment, because everything is trying to distract us from the fact that, what's really fueling all of this is extraction industry and power and control. Well, if you believe that you have control, that's why you're out of harmony and you can't get your sovereignty and your enoughness into a line. So consider the King of Coins as our crown. Consider the earth. We're moving away from the Three of Coins. This is another collaboration card, but it's a collaboration card that is materialist and dual. So a collaboration of corporation, incorporation, material as people is what first comes to me. A secondary reading of this is, that stellium of planets, Mercury, Venus, Sun, Mars, and Pluto are going to start to break up a little bit after this lunation and then rejoin each other, and we'll have like 6 planets in one sign in August. So we are moving away from one set of collaboration and into another. And that is a hopeful thought, right? Here we are at a place where people are standing for each other in the streets against, the forces of tyrannical forces that threaten to dominate the earth and never know when enough is enough. But it's going to reorganize. It's going to pull apart and come back together in a different way. So as we move away from a certain type of collaboration, we're moving toward, the Ten of Swords. Sometimes it's not a pretty picture. This card has come up for me a lot, unfortunately, in the last couple of weeks. And I've tried to put it off or put it into perspective as best I can. One thing I can say, though, is that tens are endings. So this particular card depicts Sedna, which is an Inuit story and also an asteroid. I don't know where it is in the chart right now. I know that the Gorgon Medusa and her star begins with an A. I don't remember the name of it right now. Are very involved in this lunation, that fixed star Algol. But Sedna is another large large asteroidal body named after a female who was betrayed over and over again by the men in her life, her father, her husband. Yeah, not a pretty picture. But when the Ten of Swords comes, the creation aspect is soon to follow. So you can't have more than 10 swords in the tarot. So you've reached the threshold and the capacity for betrayal. And somehow that is good news. So how is that good news? The only way that we get meaning out of life is through suffering. Sorry, I don't make the rules. That's why we come here. We don't come here for white picket fences and, a good time. We come here to understand everything. And love is everything. It is not rainbows and kittens. It is rainbows and kittens and dragons and darkness. And we are headed toward an illuminating darkness. The difficulty that we will encounter will be meaningful and it will teach us something. And it is also the threshold where we cross over into a different light. Oy. I mean, that is the word that keeps going through my head today is like, oy vey, that's enough. Enough is enough already. We begin with the Tower. Maybe not enough, but we do know heading into eclipse season, this is where the big changes in our perspective come. This is where we go through the pain point in order to understand what's coming. And it could be that is this moment. We should keep that in mind, right? Like, this is kind of excruciating just the way it is. People are being shot in the streets and multiple genocides, suicides, and ecocides going on. Let us hope that it is the height of it, but what needs to fall is falling. Under the weight of its own misalignment. Remember, in this reading, the misalignment is in you. And we have said many times that you have to breathe over that light. You have to breathe over that fire in order to fan it. We begin with the Tower and something being deconstructed. But that's necessary for new beginnings, right? All around us, the Two of Swords. So everybody is making their own internal decision. This is a mental card. This is a mental crossroad. This is Sita in the Ramayana depicted here. This one's Rapunzel. Sita is reborn in the earth after betrayal by her husband. There's just a lot of husband betrayal here. Sorry, guys, I don't make the rules. But I mean, if you look at it, there's just a lot of masculine cards, which we take on this channel to mean outward moving energy. So make the decisions inside and let them play out in the real world. All around you, everybody is doing that as well. Two of Swords. We hope and fear, the Page of Coins. A new adventure. This beautiful little caribou card. This is Santa Claus-y. It's very Nordic wholesomeness. And it is setting out upon the earth in a new way. So, if we're considering all this to be meaning-making suffering, we hope that it'll give us a new way forward, but we also fear the new way forward. Like, we don't want it to be fascist, and we don't want it to be more oppressive. But we have to carry that in us. We have to make that true upon the earth, because that's who we are, and that's what we do. And we finish, beautiful, Ace of Coins. This is, if you like that New Earth story, this is a New Earth card. Very heavily post-Capricornian, current Capricornian. Because remember, really in the real sky, everything's in Capricorn. So this is how you do it. Like, if we could make it any other way, if we could learn without making mistakes, I'm pretty sure we would have done so by now. Unfortunately, we have to make repeated mistakes in order to understand and to move up a level. That's just kind of who we are. That's a part of being human. But there is a new beginning here, and I really want to put the focus and the emphasis on these endings are necessary, right? We've got all the bad ending cards, but they bring us to a new place. They bring us to a new understanding. Every element is being changed in this transformation that starts over again at 1. This is a 10, right? This is an ending card. This is an ending card. And there's a new beginning there. That's what endings are. They're what do they say? If God closes a door, he opens a window. This is the open window. So look for the helpers. Stand together. Protect your neighbors. Protect yourselves. And realize that those attitudes, those goodnesses, those things are what bring us into a new way of being in the world. They bring new meaning to the world. So that's how we're going to finish with a new beginning. Bottom of the deck, 8 of Coins. Very important card. This is our work. What is happening on this planet right now concerns all of us and is the conquest of a dimension. It is how we will come into mastery. By remembering an inner harmony that is crossed by an outward authority. Necessary endings bring sovereignty upon the earth. where previous unions are bringing us into betrayal, the ground is being prepared for a new way of deciding. We hope and fear for a new adventure and end up becoming the new ground of realization through our mastery. Thank you so much for your time and attention. I know it's hard right now. I empathize. I'm right there with you. I don't like what I'm seeing, but I do like the fact that we're being drawn to stand for each other and stand together, as we must do. Mind your heart.